Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here nationwide at 5. Yes, at 5. You know, sometimes I get confused with...
Up in that age.
Can you continue?
Can you remember the segment? What's the name of the
Nation's
segment?
Business.
Good. Dinner, getting my gold star. And listeners, in the Nation's Business this evening, we're turning our attention to corporal punishment in homes. The government says it has not made any decision on banning corporal punishment in homes. The comment follows a recent announcement by Justice Minister Delroy Chuck that the government is considering the move. Dana Davy reports.
Minister Chuck made the announcement at a child diversion forum last Wednesday. He said the government plans to outlaw corporal punishment in homes, building on the success of the ban imposed in schools across the island. According to Minister Chuck, the government aims to create a cultural shift by encouraging parents to speak to their children in strong language instead of resorting to physical punishment. However, in a release on Monday, the government stated that no decision has been taken on prohibiting corporal punishment in homes. Weighing in on the issue, Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams says effective solutions to the issue of violence against children are being pursued. She says this is being done through the National Parenting Support Commission's training programs. The government says it values the diverse perspectives in society and is committed to a collaborative approach to address the issue. It says the National Commission on Violence Prevention has been tasked with conducting a multidimensional examination of violence in Jamaican society, ensuring that all voices are heard and considered. The commission was established by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and is chaired by Professor Maureen Sams-Vaughan. According to the government, a report from the commission will be a key driver to inform national conversations on corporal punishment in the home. The government noted that it will continue to engage in widespread consultations on the matter. Dana Davy for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Dana. Well, we're now being joined by Director of Advocacy at the Jamaica Psychological Society, Valrie McKenzie. She's a health psychologist who specializes in behavioral dentistry. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Cliff. Good evening, Ricardo.
Is it Dr. McKenzie?
Miss.
Miss McKenzie.
Now, yes.
Okay. So, you're from the Jamaica Psychological Society, and we invited you because we want to hear the perspective of the practitioners, the psychologists, on what is the discipline, what is the research on corporal punishment, over the years in Jamaica and the wider world.
Cliff, if I may, where corporal punishment is concerned, these are very mixed views, and if I may zoom in on what the Minister Chuck has spoken about specifically about banning corporal punishment at home, Cliff. We would not be, Jamaica would just be following 65 other countries which really have banned corporal punishment in schools and in homes, with Zambia and Mauritius, which has as recently as, I think, 2022, banned corporal punishment in homes. Notably, Sweden is on record to have banned corporal punishment in homes since 1979. Well, where the Caribbean is concerned, though mention has been made of it, Jamaica would be the very first to be jumping in to say that they will be prohibiting corporal punishment at home. So I guess we would be a leader there. However, one should note that Jamaica subscribes to the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children. And as far back as July 2021, the very Prime Minister before the House of Representatives expressed that Jamaica is committed to reforming its laws to prohibit corporal punishment in all settings. So yes, we have been there, Cliff, and that's a part of our story. where corporal punishment is concerned.
Just a little bit more on the 65 countries who have done so before.
Yes. Yeah?
Are they largely developing countries, developed countries, countries who have gone through slavery, for example? What? Do you know?
We have some European countries and we have some developing countries. Zambia would not be considered as one of the developed countries, and it is one of the most recent ones to really to ban corporal punishment in all settings.
Ms. McKenzie, when we talk about corporal punishment, yes, and we
Yes.
say ban it, and I hear the public conversations and people say, boy, I should be allowed to spank my child, right?
Yes.
And when we talk about the effects and the negative effects, what exactly is considered officially corporal punishment? Would that include also the spanking? And is that something, from the perspective of the Jamaica Psychological Society, you think ought to be banned?
The definition of corporal punishment as given by the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child is that it is any punishment which physical force is used and used and intended to cause some degree of pain or discomfort, however light there is. And for us, yes, spanking is included, and as I've said, however light there is. And spanking, whether it's hitting with an object and whatever degree of harm there is, that would be considered corporal punishment. I think you asked about did you say negative impact?
Yeah, right, because, and I'm glad you gave me that UN definition, because when we talk about pain or discomfort,
Yeah.
I could see someone saying, boy, that's broad enough to include, to encompass perhaps standing in a corner for an hour. The child doesn't want to do that. That surely brings some amount of discomfort to the child. And so that kind of definition seems to me very broad and sweeping. How do we apply that to the Jamaican context?
I quite agree with you, Ricardo, that is very broad and sweeping. For me, we have our own culture, and I do think that we need to really craft a definition befitting our very culture and our very society.
Yes. And who? So you think the government should lead on that, or civil society groups, child rights group? How do we come to crafting that societally appropriate definition?
I see where the Minister of Education and Youth had said that stakeholders would be engaged, and I think that is where this should be put to stakeholders, and we do come up with a definition befitting our society.
And do you worry that in that discussion or lived experience, which is that, I mean, rightly or wrongly, children should be seen, not heard. If you go spare the rod, you spoil the child. That could creep in and tilt the balance of what we consider corporal punishment, and that's thin line between corporal punishment and abusing the child.
But then again, Ricardo, you would have parent groups, you would have education, you would have groups like Jam Psych, you would have religious groups as well, and I think we would really find a balance there.
And you believe the religious groups would give enough room for that balance to be struck?
I think I heard, was it on Nationwide? I think it was Nationwide early on. Was it this morning or so?
Yes.
There was a pastor there giving his views. Was it this morning? Right?
Yes, it was
his
this morning.
Views, right. So I think we really can find a balance somewhere there.
In terms of the negative impacts now, and long-term, specifically long-term impacts, because there's this conversation that me get beaten when me did little, and I turned out
We
well.
all do.
You know, yes.
We-
That's the
We all
prevailing
do.
right. The prevailing views that I me get beaten and me turn out well. You know, and so
Yeah.
it's almost taken as given that the child should be beaten, and it's not a problem as the experts are making it out to be.
Really?
What are you seeing from the studies?
To be from the studies, Ricardo, there are positive impacts as well as negative impacts. Do not ask me which outweigh the other, but I can put them to you.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that long-lasting physical and mental harm happens when, that's a negative side of corporal punishment. Also, what we are seeing in our schools, research has shown that corporal punishment promotes unsafe and violent schools, or creates unsafe and violent schools. Also, it impacts students or children's learning. We've heard of children who do not perform well in schools academically, and harsh physical punishments have been blamed for this. On the positive side, well, corporal punishment definitely sets boundaries and motivates children how to behave in school, right? And it is appropriate discipline for certain children when used in moderation. And I say used in moderation. I was listening earlier on, and I think it was Rodian who had asked for public opinion.
Yes.
And it was rather mixed, right? And so, yes, when you talk about, well, I've gotten beaten and it never killed me. So, if it is used in moderation, because evidence shows that prolonged and excessive use of corporal punishment definitely has side effects. So, yes, so I've placed the positive and the negative before you. But one needs to also consider that an inherent risk of escalation may occur where corporal punishment is exercised.
Those are the negative effects, or
the inherent risk of escalation is a negative. So, so whatever, when we talk about moderation, and again, we, as the question was asked earlier, right, how do we get that definition of corporal punishment? And I do think we have a very long road, because corporal punishment is a cultural thing with us, right? And as the minister had said, we have to change culture, and you know how difficult that can be. So when we talk about moderation, what is moderation? From whose point is moderation? So a whole lot of things we really will have to look at when we are looking at banning corporal punishment in all settings. The first thing I think we need to do is to look at the definition or redefine corporal punishment to suit our society or to suit us.
Since the debate has surfaced again, not for the first time, I would like us to spend some time thinking about the how. How we can all agree that we have a problem with violence in this country.
Yeah.
We were born into and bred with violence. We came here in a violent way, and we were subjugated, enslaved, and kept under control with violence. Everything we do is permeated virtually with violence in Jamaica. Or language, not only the physical act, yes? When you look at the Jamaican choice words, it's blood, and
the music is violent.
The music, we normalize violence, and sometimes you don't even recognize it. Yeah, you're enjoying yourself, and you're boss a shot. That is violent. So the question I'm trying to get from you, Miss McKenzie, the how. How do we say to ourselves, listener, this is where we are, and we have to pull back? How?
Boy, peace, That's a $1 million question that you have asked, because violence, as you have said, is inbred. It is something that it is the reworking of the whole psyche. It will have to be every hand on deck. It will have to be, I don't know how we are going to do it, because it's a whole generational thing. And if we start now, Cliff, the fruits of our labor we will see the fruits of our labor many years from now. It's not an overnight thing.
Yes.
And so we really have to start now. We have to start in our schools. It is that, we all have to relearn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long walk, but they say, 1,000 miles begin with
The first step.
one single step. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we have to recognize things for what they are. And a lot of changes, individuals, civil societies, schools, other organizations, we all have to, play our part.
And that means we have to somehow make our people more aware of how that culture, mm-hmm. that history of violence mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. is impacting how we treat each other now.
Yes.
Yeah? And this is where I said this morning that for Mr. Chuck to come and say, listen, ban corporal punishment now in homes, that's not where to start. That's not where to start. No.
I quite agree with you. That's not where to start. That is, we have grown up and this is what we have seen. And we will have the critics. Yes, corporal punishment, we say if we do ban it, this will happen. We'll have a less violent society. Mm-hmm. But when I do look at Sweden, that banned corporal punishment in all settings since 1979, and I was reading something on Sweden that I think last November they said that it was the fourth, with gang violence, something mm-hmm. like that. It was the fourth in Europe. The fourth highest in Europe. And then you would think that if corporal punishment was banned from so long, why would this now be? Mm-hmm. So, we have to go back to the table. We have to look into ourselves as a people, as a nation, as a country. And, and we continue to hear, this is where we've gone wrong, but what have we been doing about it?
Yes. And one of the areas, one of the spaces we'll have to seriously take a look at is the church.
Yes.
You look at some of those messages, some of those sermons, and you listen to the language.
Yes.
The invoking of certain
damnation, yes, and certain things. Yeah. But as you've said, our very words, Cliff. Mm-hmm. And we're celebrating, but we are still using very aggressive language.
Yes.
We are praising and we're using very aggressive language.
Miss McKenzie, you talked about the importance of crafting a response that takes into account our cultural realities. And I quite agree with you, because I don't want it lost in this discussion that the pitname nowadays is bad.
Yeah.
I know you're going to tell me that that has always existed, Cliff. I see you're ready for me. But let us be realistic about the problem that we face in this country. The videos we see, the challenging to authority in schools. That seems hold on.
Them nowadays
bad
is no different from the
I don't know if that's
what happened.
There was respect for authority. There was respect for authority in your time.
Yes.
That is eroded completely.
No.
But that don't mean that the picnic in our time never bad.
What kept them in line? What kept them in line?
Correct.
So I want us to just appreciate where we are now as a society, and as you said, craft a response that takes that into account, because I think that's important. I don't want us to have this discussion in isolation. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Which is true, Ricardo. And yes, when we talk about the people them bad, sometimes it's misunderstanding these children, Ricardo.
I concede that. I concede that.
Sometimes they have an underlying issue, and it's a neurodevelopmental problem, whatever it is. But we are not looking at that. Right? We are looking at, okay, the bad, and sometimes, you know what, as a parent ourselves, sometimes we are not prepared for parenting.
Which is
right?
part of the
Major part of the
problem. Precisely.
Major part
And
of the
then they are
problem.
let loose on the society for other people to find solutions. I agree.
Fantastic.
I agree.
Because, days gone by, it used to be a village that grows a child.
That's
And, I was
Village
also
burned down
sharing
long
my
time.
experience that, boy, as a parent, you need someone to be there to say, okay, because as parents, you can get frustrated. You will be frustrated. So you need somebody, a grandma, or to say, okay, go there and cool off. I will take the child. Don't bother say anything.
Yes.
Right? But nowadays, no, don't let me pick me. Do whatever. And the parents really, they do need help at times. And so what you find out when we talk about corporal punishment and the sort of corporal punishment which is exercised in our society, it's one of anger.
Yes.
We are angry,
yes.
so we just throw
Frustrations are, yes, that's true. That's true.
For example,
we are very much
on our
frustrated.
on our YouTube platform, Marquis Alfonso says, yes, Ricardo, they must get backsiding when they get fresh. No, you tell me. You say we normalize the violence?
But you see, another
What do you mean by them get fresh?
Another
So they
point-
must get
But
backsiding.
another point was raised about how
Oh, no.
the respect for authority used to keep you all in line in your time. Yes? And that was because you had teachers who perhaps earned the respect, true. But again,
And they were some of the worst abusers.
and you know what? We need to have a
Yes.
session for Cliff,
Yes.
because Cliff is suffering from PTSD from Chatola Park Primary.
Oh.
And we have a session for him. But seriously though, I agree. The response has to be crafted to take into account our lived reality in this country. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can
Yes. We cannot.
say
No,
you
it's
pick me
true,
up.
sir. I'm telling you.
Stop saying
The
that.
things I see now, I couldn't dream of doing when I was a child.
Yes. But then,
Somebody
I
who
don't
is
think
6
you're
years
thinking
old.
about social media. You're not thinking of the part that social media is currently playing.
And that's part
It
of
is
what
playing a
socializing,
major
and that's
role.
part of what
Yeah.
socializing them, indeed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Bad.
Them are inherently bad. Now, picking up on a Jubilee or St. Anne's Bay Hospital, inherently bad.
I hear you.
And the society, the space, the environment that they are raised.
And that's
But
why.
that's not that alone. We influence our environment, and our environment influences us.
Well, we the adults, because
Oh.
we were victims, yeah?
Yeah.
We were given the kind of backsiding that Marquis Alfonso wants to do. Yeah? Yeah? And the picking them learn that. The children live what they learn.
They're fresh.
Oh,
I agree.
Fresh
They're
because they can tell you that, listen,
fresh.
you are wrong because
No,
of so and so.
no. That's a
Eh?
different thing. No.
What
no,
you
that's a
mean
different
fresh?
thing. Allowing a
But
child to
fresh-
express of your opinion is
Yes.
fine. It's when that
Yes.
it crosses the line. Somebody who is 6 years old tell you about your mother.
No,
And
that is
Yeah.
not being fresh. That
That
is
is
not.
not
I think
that
that's
is not.
no. I
being
think
fresh.
that's what the YouTube I speak
No,
about.
no.
They're disrespectful.
No.
Being fresh is being disrespectful.
Fresh means that they are bright and they can challenge you.
No, me no know about that.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah?
if I might say as well, when you look at when as kids and they're all playing Dolly House, they take the belt or the shoes and they beat the flowers,
Yeah. Oh Lord, they
they
do.
beat the leaves and the
Yes.
petals of these
Beat
plants.
the wall. Yes.
And right,
And they usually say, when they're doing it, they say, where's your homework? Which tells you they learned it at school.
right.
Yes.
So, and even, yes, and sometimes they say what mommy says.
Yes.
Did you do this? Did you
Yes.
pick up that?
Yes.
Did you? And
Yes.
so you see people where we're coming from, and you see how we express ourselves, and it's really a cycle that continues.
Here's a comment from a prep school teacher. She says, "Taught my friend, them fresh. My friend have grade 2 children at primary school, telling her about her mother."
That is not being fresh.
Out of order.
That is being out of order. That is being rude. Yes, that's a big
there
difference.
is something that I continue to say. These little children, they are the adults of tomorrow. They are the mothers and fathers of tomorrow. So if they are not corrected, you can understand the cycle continues.
Yes, yes. Well.
Yes,
Let us go about it in a way that is not going to be divisive.
Yes.
Yeah, and have us retreating behind our ideas as to what is right and what is in the Bible from what is not in the Bible.
Not in the Bible.
Yes.
Yes.
Let us approach it in a way that says, listen, we have a common problem. And it is killing us, literally killing us.
Killing us, yes.
Yeah? And we have to approach it in a multidimensional way. It can't be just parents, it can't be just schools. It must be all hands on board. And we have to teach. We have to teach. How did we get here?
Yeah.
How? Yeah? Just think about it. When the first slave ship come from West Africa, yeah? Violent.
And the violence.
And then bring we come here,
right.
and we have to endure under the and if you know from a history,
Yes.
our foreparents, our forefathers, yeah, were the most rebellious,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I think
Yes.
they said the most rebellious slaves
Were
brought
in
here.
Jamaica.
Yes.
We fought.
Yes.
We fought, right?
Yeah?
Think of taxes, the chieftain. Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a contextualized and teach it so people understand.
Yes.
That, listen, we now have a pullback. We're a society. We're a nation. Yeah? We have to try and shed it. And it not going to happen in 2 years. It will probably take with 20, 30 years.
It will, because it didn't take us a year or two to get us
here.
where we are.
Precisely. It took us hundreds of years.
Undo, right?
Yes.
And so to undo. So it might never happen in my lifetime or yours. But if we start planting the seeds now, it will germinate.
Yes.
And those who are coming behind us, if they just continue to water it, then we'll get a beautiful flower at the end of the day.
Yes.
Agreed, Miss McKenzie. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you too. It was my pleasure.
Same here, Miss McKenzie.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Valrie McKenzie is Director of Advocacy at the Jamaica Psychological Society. You can stay there. You can stay there. Take them pitney lightly.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But you have to make the distinction between the attitude, the thinking that says them a picnic worse than our time. That is not true. Every child born, whether Jubilee or Huey, yeah, them not born with nothing inherently worse than you or me. It is their environment, their socialization. Yes. What them grow up and see from them catch 10 months and 11 months. Boy, come here. Me not tell you say nothing do that. Bam. Yes.
I hear you.
That is what we need. We need to make our those who are having children shouldn't have no business having picnic.
David, no picnic in our room in my house.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what does that mean? You are going to raise a child in a way, in a manner that says, listen, you're not to do that. And if you do that, this is what is going to happen.
I'm going to spank you.
You don't have to begin there.
But you agree that we may have to end there?
You may.
Okay.
You may.
Okay. All right.
But the first thing you need to begin with is not an attitude that says, pick me, Me box you down, you know.
All right, well, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
And we
I
have
can
too
agree
much
with
of that. Too much of that.